Welcome to Odds.com's NCAA basketball coverage for Tuesday, February 23rd with our expert, Maxwell. Smart. Max, I missed you. It was a big 2 weeks away from the show. All is going well here in my household. My son is healthy and good, and I'm so excited to be back in action with you. And I tracked all of your games while I was gone, and you were excellent. You had a back-to-back 10 and 3 days plus 6.7 units, which was spectacular. You were 42 wins and 31 losses plus 7.97 units without me. Very, very impressive, Max. How you doing, my man?
Listen, Jim, I'm just goddamn happy that you're back. I don't like doing solo shows. It is not fun line shopping. I like when you do it. I appreciate you for doing it. And I'm just glad that everything's good and healthy in your household, that your new addition is claiming his turf and claiming the hearts of his loved ones. And listen, I claimed the heart of a loved one also. She told me she loved me, but I don't think she actually did. It's been a good time, though, Jim. And I'll tell you, it's been cupcake time.
Oh,
Now, these aren't the bougie cupcakes.
no.
Because those bougie SOBs, they close at 2 p.m. And when there's college basketball on and there's ladies of the day to visit, well, you know what the choice is going to be. The cupcakes have to wait.
Yes.
But I do have my cupcakes to celebrate. I'm going to eat them after the show. And hopefully, when we come back in 2 days to do the next show, I'll have more cupcakes and bougier ones to celebrate, hopefully, a winning day and not a banana ketchup day.
Those look like Parkdale cupcakes, actually, Max. They don't,
Hostess cupcakes are available at your nearest, closest gas station. They are easily accessible and in the one package form, the perfect amount of sugar, chocolate, and cream.
Well, you deserve it. 42, 31 plus 7.97 units while I was gone, which puts your record at 203 wins, 164 losses. You're hitting at 55.3%. You're plus 24.09 units. Your ROI is 6.56%. Average line minus 109. And what that is that's a professional gambler's record. That's someone who makes a living off of their action. And it's extremely impressive. And very few shows have records like that. Very few shows will track records because they lose and have to lie to get you to keep watching. Not here. Max, great work. Let's keep it rolling. Max has picked out 8 games he's attacking on this Tuesday, February 23rd card. We start at 3 p.m. Eastern, a little afternoon action, and we close up shop at 9 p.m. Eastern with your beloved UConn Huskies. Max, are you ready to get to work?
Of course I am. Let's
go.
do it.
Let's go. I've missed you. Let's fire away. We start at 3 p.m. Eastern. Pacific Tigers, 7-7 on the year, 4-6 in conference at San Diego. Toreros, 3-8, 2-5 in conference. And we go to the Jenny Craig Pavilion, fat shaming in San Diego, California. Let's see what the market is offering us here for this 3 p.m. matchup. Pacific opening up as 3.5-point favorites. They're 3.5 basically across the board, but the leading indicator books have moved it to 4. Then we have a total opening up at 134.5. That's moved up a point to 135.5. Max, let's get to work. We'll start with Pacific. After getting blown out 80-52 on Thursday at home to BYU, Pacific came back with an easy 80-58 win at lowly Portland on Saturday night. They're led in scoring by sophomore guard Dennis Jenkins, who averages 12.4 points per game, but struggles badly from the perimeter. As a team, they don't shoot the ball well. They hit just 30.4% from 3, with only guard Jaylen Brown hitting over 40% from the perimeter, and he averages just 5.7 points per game, so he's not hurling a lot of those threes. They hit 43.3% from the field, 66.3% from the stripe. Now, let's talk about San Diego. After a 3-week pause due to COVID, the Toreros came back with a surprise 71-60 win at Santa Clara as 6.5-point underdogs on Thursday night. Joey Calcaterra went for a career-high 23, and they turned the ball over just 11 times. I wish that was the end of the breakdown. But sadly, 2 nights later, they had to head to Spokane to face number 1 Gonzaga. They were down 51-22 at the break. Max had Gonzaga first half minus 10.5 on the show. That was a casher. And they lost 106-69. Max, you also had the full game over, I believe. So you cashed on that as well. Nobody scored more than Josh Parrish's 13. Only Calcaterra and Parrish averaged double digits. As a team, they shoot 41.2% from the field, 32.2% from three, and just 65% from the foul line. Max, very interesting 3 p.m. Eastern spot for you. Pacific San Diego, take it away.
Yeah, Jim, with San Diego coming off that type of loss and that type of performance, you do expect them to be able to be more capable and competent going up against a quality of opponent that is definitely a couple levels below. I think that with Pacific and San Diego, they do have the commonality of beating some of the same opponents, beating Portland, beating Santa Clara. So we have seen these teams struggle with the upper tier teams in the conference, and they have been getting smoked. But when it comes to an overall roster versus roster advantage or disadvantage, I do think that Pacific has more check marks in their column than San Diego. I will point out that with San Diego, you are going to be questioning what kind of production, what kind of minutes you get out of Yehoon Masalki. The 6'10" forward is definitely a guy that is going to be needed in this game to go along with Vladimir Pinchik, who, let's be frank, is a very bad free throw shooter. So if you need to hack a big man late to put San Diego on the line and then be able to get that extra possession, if you're Pacific, that's definitely a strategy that would work with this roster. I think that with Pacific in wins, it's very clear. They get off to fast starts. They have a very high 2-point percentage from the field, and they're hitting 40% from the 3-point line and hitting 8 or more of them. This is a team that is at their best when they have crisp ball movement and they're owning the glass on the offensive and defensive side. I think that when you look at Pacific in their wins, they always have an outlier performance, whether that be from Jabril Price-Noel, our fellow Canadian, Justin Moore, who just came off the bench with 4 3-point makes last time out, or even Gervais Green, who everybody, including me, expected a lot more of and just haven't gotten. From an overall talent perspective, I think that Pacific has and checks those boxes, like I said. In losses, though, we have seen a pattern form with Pacific. Pacific, when they're playing from behind, they have a slow start. There's 20-plus fouls in the game. They're getting killed on the offensive glass. They're not getting those 10 offensive rebounds that they need. And they only have one hot scorer, and that usually is Jeremiah Bailey. So balanced scoring is going to have to be. And with Pacific, listen, when they get into the high 70s and their opponent gets into the high 70s, like they did against Loyola Marymount, that's a loss. So I think that with Pacific in this matchup, they have a first half advantage of around 4 points. They have to stay stout for 40 minutes. And listen, that perimeter defense inside the arc is going to be key. You want to push San Diego out to the line unless you're going to foul and try and extend the game like that. I think that putting them at the line, they're 65%, and they have multiple guys that shoot under 70%. Joey Calcaterra is the only guy that you really have to fear putting on the free throw line. And I just think that when you look at this group, Pacific's going to be able to crush them on the offensive glass. I think that Jordan Bell and Brock Finstuen are going to play big roles. And even though you're not getting the quality point guard play that ordinarily I like to get behind, I think that with my number, with what I watch in Pacific, how these two teams match up against each other, Pacific forces turnovers and they take care of the ball, they win this game. They're better in the day. They're both quality for your bankroll and conference, so you really are split there. And listen, with Pacific games, a lot of these games daytime have gone over, so I can understand where the line is going, but I'll say this, Jim. When it comes to the total, I actually be looking towards the under, because if it's going to be a Pacific win and cover, which is what I would like to make as my official show pick, then I don't see this game getting into the high 60s.
Interesting breakdown. So we focusing on Pacific full game?
Yeah, Pacific full game -3.5 or better, please.
That's the best I can get you. -3.5 at -110. Pacific -3.5, -110. That's available really across all of the licensed books right now. The Toreros 3.5 -110 for max to start your card and not moving on the total.
No, I'm not going to. I'll be betting it personally, but for the show, I'm just going to stick with the side.
All right, we move on to 6 p.m. Eastern action. And Max, when I was setting up the breakdowns for your games, there was a lot of teams coming off losses. And we have 2 here. You have a lot of very interesting bounce back opportunities, and I really like a couple of them here. And when I was breaking down St. Louis, I really liked. Oh, sorry, we have 5 p.m. Eastern next. Okay, sorry. I'm getting too excited about the Billikens game.
I wasn't going to correct you on that.
5 p.m. Eastern next. Buffalo Bulls, Maction, 9-7, 7-5 in conference at Northern Illinois Huskies, 2-13, 1-9 in conference. NIU Convocation Center in Dekalb, Illinois. Max, when you put this on the board, I was surprised. I thought we were staying away from action, but I guess your success in the 2 weeks that I was gone has given you the confidence to go back to the MAC. Let's see what we're dealing with here. Buffalo opens up as 13-point favorites. That's moved down to 12.5. This total opened up at 142. You can get a 143, but there are 144s on the board. Buffalo had their 3-game winning streak snapped in an 80-70 loss at home to Toledo on Friday night as 2-point favorites. The Bulls have a high-octane offense, 4 players averaging over 13.6 points per game. They're led by Jonathan Williams, who averages 18 points per game and had a double-double in the loss to Toledo. They score 81.4 points per game while shooting 45.5% from the field and 33.1% from 3. Northern Illinois has lost 4 straight. They're coming off a 69-64 loss at home to Miami of Ohio on Saturday. Leading scorer Tyler Cochran has returned to the lineup for the last 3 games, but they continue to struggle offensively. They score just 60.7 points per game and get very little distribution, which is 10.8 assists per game. They have 40% from the field, 31.2% from 3, and just 60.3% from the foul line. Maction, Bulls, Huskies, take it away.
Yeah, Jim, this is definitely a total. This is an over spot that I'll be hitting. Listen, when you look at Buffalo, there is a formula that they play when they route a team, and this is a route number. This is a route spot. When I watch Buffalo, I notice a bunch of things. I make a lot of notes on games that I watch, and when I look at my Buffalo notes, I notice this. In wins, 10+ threes. That is a given. They're going to hit 45% or more from the field. They're going to get 10+ offensive rebounds, and they're going to win the turnover battle, which is the most urgent key of the ones I just named. Balanced scoring with 4+ double-digit scores, and then to lead at the half, and then do what Buffalo does. Probably one out of 3 best teams to bet on second halves. Buffalo is a beast. Let me tell you, they bring the goddamn fury. So regardless of what happens with the official show pick, Jim, I think the most important thing that we can point out for the great odds.com audience is the fact that Buffalo is a second half money printer. Doesn't matter what the score is, you just back them, and I'm telling you, you're hitting 65% or more. When Buffalo loses, this is very also plain to see. They don't hit threes. They leave 5 or more points at the free throw line, and they commit 15+ turnovers. So you have to disrupt your opponent's ball distribution if it's crisp and if it's leading to a lot of open shots. And Buffalo has problems in that in games. Well, the thing is, Buffalo hasn't played Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois may now have the services of Tyler Cochran to go along with Darius Bean and Trendon Hankerson, but I just don't think that it's going to be enough. I think that Buffalo's keys to winning this game is to keep is to keep Northern Illinois down in the first half while they can get to 40. So a 40 to 30 type first half would be very ideal for the total and also for Buffalo on the spread. I think that if you do not get your penetration going early, you're going to not open up the kind of looks that you want on the outside. And listen, free throws are this team's friend. This team can drive, this team can get to the rim, and this team can convert when they get to the rim on most nights. I think that there are some blemishes when it comes to this roster and it comes to free throw shooting. We have seen Javon Graves really struggle, but if Josh Mambala or Ronald Sagu are on the free throw line, I do have a lot more faith. And listen, it's hard to go against a Buffalo team in this matchup. If they were going up against Kent State or Toledo, then okay. But at this number, in this spot, it's very difficult. Buffalo's been making you money. They've been making you money in the day. They've been making you money in conference. They've been making money on the road. And they've been making money as a 10-plus point favorite, while Northern Illinois is 1-4 in the same range. I'm taking Buffalo reluctantly because my number actually is 12. So I don't have 2.5 points of value. But even if Buffalo has a slow first half start, I still think that they're going to win this game by double digits and make Northern Illinois look the way that they really do look instead of the way that Akron's helped them look good. So give me Buffalo full game and give me the over.
Well, let's start with Buffalo full game. Bet 365 giving you the least amount of juice on the 12.5. They're giving you minus 12.5 at minus 105. So let's start there. Bet 365. Then I have great news. Markets all over the place with the total. And Bet MGM, a 1.5 lower than Bet 365. Bet MGM at 142.5 still.
All right. Yeah, I'll take it. I think that this game gets into the 150s just with Buffalo scoring probably dominating that. I do think that Northern Illinois is going to get past 60, though. So,
well, it's going to be a tough spot for me to tail if I want, because right now Bet365 is hanging a 144. 1.5 worse than what you're getting is tough. I'm not sure if I'll be able to do it, but I like it. Buffalo Bulls minus 12.5, minus 105, and the over 142.5 and minus 110 at BetMGM. We move on to 6 p.m. Eastern action and hit the A10. This was a game I was talking about. Very exciting look. St. Louis Billikens 11-4, 4-3 in the A10 at VCU Rams 16-5, 9-3 in the A10. We're at Stuart Siegel Center in Richmond, Virginia. We have St. Louis opening up as 2-point favorites. That's moved to 2.5. And as we were speaking, a bunch of books moved it to 3. This total opened up at 135.5. We do see a couple 135s on the board. St. Louis had their 4-game winning streak snapped in an ugly 76-53 loss at Dayton on Friday night as 5.5-point favorites. They were down 43-23 at the half. They had no one scoring double digits. Leading scorers Javonte Perkins and Jordan Goodwin, who combined to average 31.7 points per game, scored 7 points each. And this is an offense that usually rolls. I mean, they average 76.9 points per game. They get 18.3 assists per game. They hit 46.5% from the field, 34.3% from three, and 70.4% from the stripe. But VCU also is coming off a shocking loss. They had their 6-game winning streak snapped in a 79-76 overtime loss at home to George Mason on Saturday as 9.5-point favorites. They have had an issue with turnovers at times this year. It reared its ugly head. They turned the ball over 19 times in the loss. They averaged 15.2 turnovers a game. Leading scorer Nashawn Highland averages 19.2 points per game. He turned the ball over 6 times and had 0 assists. They hit 45.3% from the field, 33.6% from three, 76.6% from the stripe. Both teams looking at a bounce-back spot. Max, which team are you on?
Jim, I hate to break it to you, but we've missed the best of this goddamn number. When this game got posted this afternoon, VCU opened as a 2-point favorite.
Oh.
Then the news came out that Bones Highland will not play with the ankle injury, even though he was able to play, I think, 30-plus minutes in the overtime loss against George Mason. I think that's where this number's gone. I think that this is a clear St. Louis spot. It's just a matter of what number you're getting. And if you can get me a 2, I'll like you more than I already do. And I'll say this, Jim. Listen, that Dayton loss gave you a very, very big spotlight on what you need to do to beat this St. Louis team. And when you look at it, Hassan French, 18 minutes, foul trouble the whole game. Could not get into rhythm, could not produce, could not be a defensive stalwart. Javonte Perkins and Jordan Goodwin went frickin' 5 for 30 from the field combined. You're not winning games like that. You're not. And listen, it's a tough matchup with or without Bones Highland to go into VCU and beat them. You haven't beat them in 5 years there. Regardless of who's there, I don't give a shit about your 7 or 10-year trends. They mean absolutely nothing to me. It's college basketball, not pro sports. But it is worth pointing out that they do have the bugaboo on their back. So this is the time to fucking get it off. I think that St. Louis is going to bring the D. They're going to be able to guard without fouling. They're going to be able to establish their three-point shooting, and they're going to hit 8 or more of them. They're going to bang on the offensive glass against VCU. Hassan Ward, Vince Williams, these guys can grind. Jameer Watkins, he's going to be that X factor. He's going to be that difference maker for Bones Highland. They're going to play a little bigger. They're going to play a little stronger at the wings. They still have Ace Baldwin running the point. You know, this is not going to be a walk in the park for St. Louis. I do not think it's going to be an easy game for them. They're going to have to bring their best. And when you lose by that much to Dayton, I don't care that Dayton was at home or any of that bullshit. I just have to look at the number. The number says St. Louis. We're getting the ass end of it, but I'm going to ride it. I think that this is a St. Louis team that rebounds. It's a situational spot. And although it is dangerous to bet against teams playing without their star in that first game, I'm doing it. I'm getting that chicken tender money. All right? It's Cupcake City time. Let's go, Billikens.
Well, you have a choice. Do you want the Billikens at -2.5 at -115 or -3 at -106?
There's no twos left?
There are no twos left.
Oh, my God.
Fucking the 2.5s are -115 or -118.
Yeah, I'll take the -115.
All right. That's the Billikens -2.5, -115 at Bet365. And we roll on 7 p.m. Eastern. We head to the Big Ten. Number 5 ranked Illinois fighting Illini, 16-5, 12-3 in the Big Ten at Michigan State. Spartans 11-9, 5-9 in the Big Ten. We hit to the Breslin Center, East Lansing, Michigan. We have Illinois opening up as 7-point favorites. That number is dropping. It's dropped to 6.5, and the indicator books have moved it to 6. This total opened up at 144.5. That's where it stands now. One book's hanging at 145.5. Illinois won 7 straight, coming off an extremely impressive 94-63 win at Minnesota. Desunmu, 19 points, 10 boards, 10 assists, second triple-double of the season. Kofi Coburn, 22 points in 24 minutes. Desunmu averages 21.2 points per game. Coburn averages 17.6 points per game. They turned the ball over just 10 times. They shot 56.1% from the field, 50% from 3. That is a recipe for winning basketball. This offense is humming. They score 81.8 points per game, 17.1 assists. They shoot 50.6% from the field, 39.3% from 3, and 69.2% from the stripe. Michigan State snapped their 2-game losing streak with a surprise 78-71 win at Indiana on Saturday as 7-point dogs. Aaron Henry didn't leave the floor. Put up 27 points. He's averaging 15 on the year. The only other player averaging double digits, Joey Hauser at 10.2. They averaged 70.8 points per game, hit 42.5% from the field, 33.3% from 3, and 73.9% from the line. Illinois, Michigan State. Max, let's roll. Max, I think you're on mute, my man.
Jim, I would be looking at Michigan State full game, but as you said, the line has moved off at 7. So now I transition to my secondary play in the game, which is going to be an Illinois first half play. Plain and simply, Jim, even though Michigan State's burned your money at home as a favorite. They're not that in this situation. I think that they're not going to win the game. I don't think that they're going to pull the blanket over two quality Big Ten teams' eyes 2 games in a row like they did against Indiana. And Aaron Henry with 27 points, that's an outlier performance, and I do not think is going to be replicated this coming game. I do think that Michigan State is going to have some elevated scoring success with these 4-guard lineups and being able to throw Marcus Bingham out at the 5. He's mobile enough and he's able to give you some versatility and rim protection that you can run a little more on your opponent. I think that hurts Joey Hauser with his minutes because obviously he's better when he can trail the transition action or he can get the ball on the top of the paint or on the low block. I just think that Illinois, while I don't really think that they have a ton of value full game, I do think that first half they have a ton of value. This is a team that gets off to hungry starts. This is a team that's playing emotional, and this is a team that's playing more of their older guys now. We've seen Jacob Grandison, the Holy Cross transfer, finally work his way into the starting lineup, and with him and Trent Frazier, just from a defensive perspective on the perimeter, you're going to get a lot more trapping, you're going to get a lot more takeaways, and I think that you're going to get a lot more energy on the floor. You get vocal leadership from guys that command respect. And listen, when you got 2 stars like Ao and Kofi, you need some other guys that do other intangible things. I think that Georgia Benishnanishvili, sorry, I butchered that, of course, he also has a role to play because God forbid Kofi gets into foul trouble, you're going to have to play small with him at the 5. I think that this Illinois team has to be aggressive. They have to trap more in the half court. They have to bring those double teams and force Michigan State to pass out of them. And listen, playing tight games is Illinois' middle name. 2 out of their last 8 wins have been won by more than 7 points. So even at 6.5, I am thinking about getting on Michigan State. I think that the difference is if Illinois brings what they brought against Minnesota in the first half, it may just be too big to come back from. I think that defense is going to be key. If Illinois can keep Michigan State under 40% and keep the 3-point shot cold in the first half, they're going to be able to lock this down. You have to limit your turnovers, keep them under 13. And with ball distribution, guys have to play their roles. I think that this is a good number in the point range if you get under 4 in the first half. And for the full game, I think that the 6.5 is still bettable. So I'm going to do one of my signature splits, tale of 2 halves. Jim, you're going to have to line shop for me in the morning, Illinois first half, and I'm going to lock in Michigan State full game right now.
Well, I can get you low juice. There was one site, see which one it was, that was giving you the 6.5 for cheap, and it was BetMGM. BetMGM giving you the plus 6.5 and minus 105.
Yeah, I'll take it. That's fine by me.
So we have the Fighting Illini first half minus 4, and we have the Michigan State Spartans plus 6.5 at minus 105. Max, do you think this is possibly one of those cases where there's U-shaped movement, where we wake up tomorrow and the public starts hammering Illinois?
Yeah, I definitely think that that's going to be the choice for your average guy who's throwing your $10 bet on a game or $20 on a game. Yeah, 100%.
Illinois first half minus 4 is the max for Max. And Michigan State Spartans plus 6.5 at minus 105. That is Big Ten action at 7 p.m. Eastern. We move on to the Big South. 7 p.m. Eastern, High Point Panthers, 8-13, 6-10 in conference at Campbell, fighting Camels, whom are rolling. 14-9, 10-6 in the Big South. We're at John W. Pope Jr. Convocation Center in Buies Creek, North Carolina. Campbell opening up as 4-point favorites. That's where they stand right now. This total sitting at 133.5. High Point has lost 3 straight, coming off back-to-back losses at home versus Winthrop on Thursday and Friday. They're led by John Michael Wright, who averages 21.2 points per game. He combined for 56 in the 2 losses to Winthrop. Liddell Elmore averages 11.1. Emil Flowers averages 9. No one else scores more than 5.2. With very few scores comes very little distribution. They get just 12.6 assists per game. The ball's in John Michael Wright's hands. He leads the team in assists and often has nobody to give the ball to. Campbell's rolling. 1-6 straight, coming off winning back-to-back games at Hampton on Thursday and Friday. They have just 2 players averaging double digits in Cedric Henderson and Jordan Whitfield, but they have a lot of players that can score. They hit 49.7% from the field, 37.1% from 3, and 67.5% from the stripe. Big South action. Panthers fighting Camels. Max, take it away.
Yeah, listen, Jim, I think that Campbell definitely has to be on red alert because John Michael Wright, he is a machine. He is the guy that puts his team on his back. And forgive my dirty language tonight, Jim. I'm just excited to have you back. But John Michael Wright, he fucks with his eyes open.
Ooh.
He fucks with his eyes open. And I'll tell you this, if Campbell doesn't lock that guy down, it's going to be possibly cock soup avenue for him. I think that with Campbell, 3-point shot is going to make or break this spread. When they have been, I guess, lackadaisical with their efficiency from 3-point land, that's when they can get beat. The only team that's been able to really shut them down from there as of late that I can remember off the top of my head would be Radford. So there is that. I think that Campbell definitely has to be aware that High Point did and was playing quite well on the road before they got on this home stretch that obviously they got smacked around. And they cashed 2 moneyline dog tickets that I think were between 7.5 and 9.5 points. Obviously, we're not dealing with that kind of line for this game. And I think that even with the line opening at 3 and moving to 4 last time I looked, I think that Campbell can really run through High Point if they're on point. With Radford, they were able to really guard Campbell, really be able to help defend on 3-point shooters, and essentially just close out without fouling, keeping hands in guys' faces. When Campbell isn't hitting those contested 3-point shots, they're in trouble. That's just the bottom line. When I watch Campbell, they can win in a high-scoring game in the 70s, and they can also win in a rock fight where they barely get to the 60s. I think that one of these games that they play against High Point is going to go under. The problem is I just don't know which one. I want to look at the under in this first game, but I'm having troubles bringing myself to do it, especially for a show pick. And I'm going to just stick with the spread, Jim. I'm going to take Campbell full game. I think that Campbell's going to be able to limit High Point's field goal attempts, and that will nullify their percentage. Because when you look at it, yeah, Campbell has a big advantage, but the only reason why High Point is hitting that low is because they take so many more shots. I think that with Campbell, their recipe to winning games and covering spreads for us is pretty simple. 10+ threes where they're hitting 43% the last 5 games, 30% 3-point defense, only allowing about 6. So that's like point. I don't even know. It's a low point per, it's a low point per possession stat. I can't remember it off the top of my head. But Campbell has another weakness: rebounding, size. The only guy they can really bring off the bench that has like credible size is Milo Stacic. And he's a good 3-point shooter. So he's not the toughest guy, but he does bring some height. So he's good to reach up on the top shelf. But Campbell's going to have to keep High Point off the free throw line. Hopefully the size on the glass isn't a killer. And if Campbell wins the turnover battle, which they've been able to limit theirs to 10, I do think that they're going to win this game. They've done very well in this point range so far this season. Hasn't given me any indication to go against them. They're 4-1 as a 3 to 4.5 point favorite from my game logs. And I just think that with Messiah Thompson finding his 3-point stroke recently, him and Rob Whitfield are going to be hard to contain on the outside. And then Cedric Henderson and Joshua Luceni going inside, whether it be on the low block or inside for that mid-range Jimmy. It's Campbell time. Pop me open a can of Campbell soup and let's get to eating.
-3.5 at one book, Circa giving you the 3.5 at -110, and the market's moving quickly. We did have a 4 at +100 at Foxbet, but that quickly moved to -110 as you were speaking. So -3.5 at -110 at Circa. Does that work for you?
Yes, sir.
We move on, Maxwell Smart, 7 p.m. Eastern. We head to the Swac, baby. Arkansas Pine Bluff Golden Lions, 3-17 on the year, 2-9 in conference. Versus Prairie View A&M Panthers, 8-4, undefeated, 7-0 in conference. We're at William Nix Building in Prairie View, Texas. Let's see what we are getting here. Prairie View, 16.5-point favorites. This total opened up at 136.5. It's down to 135. The Golden Lions from Arkansas Pine Bluff have lost 9 straight. They almost snapped that losing streak in the last 2 games. They lost 73-71 at home for Southern last out as 7-point dogs. The game before that, they lost by just 1 point, 56-55 to Alabama A&M. They're led in scoring by Sean Doss Jr., averaged 17 points per game. The only other player averaging double digits is Joshua Johnson at 10.1 points per game. They have real trouble scoring. They average 61.3 points per game. They get only 9.4 assists per game. They hit 37% from the field, 30.1% from three, and 74% from the foul line. So they do hit buckets when everybody's standing still. Prairie View has won all 7 conference games, coming off just squeaking by Texas Southern on the road Sunday, 77-75. They're a deep squad. 5 players scored in double digits in the win over Texas Southern. They're strong offensively, led by Cam Mack, 14.2 points, 8.2 assists. They hit 45.5% from the field, 32.7% from three, and 68.3% from the foul line. Swac, Action Max, Arkansas Pine Bluff, Prairie View A&M. Let's roll.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to not take Prairie View in this game, but I'm going to be looking at Prairie View in the first half, Jim. You're going to have to hunt for me a line. I think that this line's gotten a little out of my range when it comes to the full game, but it's pretty hard to not take Prairie View in this spot full game as well. The fact is they're one of the best ball hawking teams in the nation. They force 20 turnovers a game. They have a 1.6 assist to turnover ratio. You know, I have them having a first half advantage of almost 10 to 15 points. So there's a lot of value there. And they still have up to 8 points of value on a second half spread. So if I see a line at 7.5 or lower, I'm going to probably take them on a second half line as well. They're hitting a lot of close proximity shots, a lot of drives, a lot of buckets off offensive rebounds, a lot of second chance scoring, and a lot of scoring in the paint. That's hard to deal with. And when you can stop that, you also have to be worried that this team is definitely an effective three-point shooting team. When you look at guys like Jeremiah Gambrell, when you look at Darrell Roberts, Jawan Daniels, all these guys can pop and drop. And I'm telling you, these guys, they're going to eat. It's just a matter of what Arkansas Pine Bluff's going to be able to contribute on their side. Obviously, they do have 2 quality scorers in Sean Doss and Jashwan Johnson. But listen, with Jashwan Johnson, he's 5'9". I'm not trying to knock on short guys, but this is a guy that if you can close out on it, you can block his shot. It's just a matter of, are you quick enough to stay with him? And without having a guy like Demary Parrison, you're really reliant on Dwayne Cox and a guy like Cam Mack. Cam Mack's going to play a very important role. He's got to get going in this game. He's got to help this Prairie View team race out to a double-digit lead, establish that Arkansas Pine Bluff is dead in the water early, and press, trap, and run. Press, trap, run. press, trap, run. That's what you got to do. And Prairie View does that better than most teams. And they do it putting together JUCO players, first-year players. And this was supposed to be a down year for Prairie View. So I think that free throw line is their friend. This is a very capable free throw shooting team. They just need to get there more. And with their propensity to go to the rim, I definitely think they're going to be able to put points up. If they can turn Arkansas Pine Bluff over and box out better on the defensive side and make them earn their shots at the free throw line instead of from the perimeter, I think that the issues that Prairie View has in most games, which is just size, rim protection, and fucking defensive rebounding, I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think that I would take Prairie View up to 10 points on the first half. So we'll wait for a line in the morning, but I think that Prairie View is going to start strong and hopefully make me a winner.
Up to 10 points, but I'm expecting we can find better than that when I wake up in the morning.
Yeah, because, Jim, this first line, the first time these guys played, it was a 9.5 point spread. And they didn't win by more than 20. They won by, I think, like 17 or something. I'm not sure. I can't remember the exact number, but it's under 20. And now we're talking about a line that's 7.5 points more, 7 points more. Yeah, that's a no-go. So even though they've been ATS gems, they've cashed for you at home, in the day, night, conference, 6 straight favorite winners. They just beat Texas Southern. Yeah, it's a bad spot full game, in my opinion.
There you have it. Swac Shin Max backing Prairie View A&M first half with a limit of 10. We move on to a big game in the Big Ten. Penn State Nittany Lions 7-12, 4-11 in the Big Ten. Had the Nebraska Cornhuskers 5-15, 1-12 in conference. Pinnacle Bank Arena in Lincoln, Nebraska. We have Penn State opening up as 6.5 point favorites. That has gone to 6. This total, I don't know if I can believe this opening line that I'm looking at, Max. It says it opened at 149.5 and it's all the way down to 142.5 or 143. I'm not sure if that's a mistake. Is that a mistake, Max?
Nope. I saw it open. The earliest I saw was 148. So I can believe that.
Wow. Penn State's lost 4 straight, coming off a 74-68 loss at Iowa as 10.5 point dogs. They covered. These teams met just 9 days ago, February 14th, in a 62-61 Nebraska road win. That was their only conference win of the year. In that game, Penn State was 11-point favorites. Nebraska's Teddy Allen won that game with a fast break steal with 12 seconds left. They're led in scoring by Myrion Jones, who averages 14.9 points per game. They hit 41% from the field, 34.3% from 3, and 74.3% from the foul line. Nebraska has lost 3 straight since that win over Penn State as double-digit dogs. They're coming off an ugly 75-58 home loss to Purdue on Saturday as 7.5 point dogs. The aforementioned Teddy Allen leads the way with 16.5 points per game. Delano Banton averages 10.4 points, 6.5 boards, 4.5 assists. They struggle scoring. They hit just 40.4% from the field, 32.1% from 3, and 62.4% from the foul line. Max, 8 p.m. Eastern, Big Ten action, Penn State, Nebraska. Take it away.
Yeah, listen, Jim. Penn State, they have not been making money from the win-loss record on the road. 1 win on the road. Well, tomorrow they're getting their second, and tomorrow they're covering a goddamn spread on the road as a favorite. I'll tell you why. It's revenge time. Revenge goddamn city. Shout out to my guy Jay Money, Revenge Game Jay, because that's what's going down. I'll tell you, listen, Penn State losing as a double-digit favorite at home, that's going to leave a sting in their mouth because, listen, they're losing. Well, this is the time to win a game because you know what? Nebraska has their own home issues. And with this downgrade in playing style, I can understand why this line has moved so drastically. But I do think that Penn State is going to come in ready to go. I think that when it comes to their second half adjustments, that's where they need to make a better effort. I think that they need to focus on speeding up the tempo and being efficient while doing so. Listen, they got to make better use of extra possessions. When you can get 10 plus, 13 plus offensive rebounds and you're still shooting under 45%, that's just not working for me. I think that the three-point shot definitely was not working for you in that game, 9 for 31. So if it isn't, drop it. Take it inside. Play some old school man ball, And with Nebraska, the team didn't get to 70, but they shot 47% from the field. So I don't know what you do except for move your goddamn feet more and help your goddamn teammates when they're in a mismatch on the defensive side. But it is tough to win on the road in the Big Ten, especially for a team like Penn State, but this is the spot. 4-game losing streak, buy low on them. I would have had this line around 10 again. I think that John Harr and Jamari Wheeler are going to play important roles tomorrow, and they are going to be the difference, and they are going to be the reason why we cash. I think that as long as Penn State can have a good first half and make better second half adjustments, move their feet like when they're guarding, like I just said, do damage in the lane and the high percentage areas, I think that they're going to win with second chances and keeping their turnovers down. This is a spot where I like the number. I like the situational spot. I like the opponent's issues at home. And I like the stylistic identity change that's going on with Nebraska. And I think it's going to benefit Penn State now that they've seen what they're going up against. I expect Nebraska's going to try and slow the game down. Penn State's going to try and speed it up. If it's close, there's going to be late game fouling. I'm going Penn State.
I can get you a -6 with no juice at Circa.
Sounds perfectly fine to me. Circa's a great place. I wish that I can bet my own money with them.
Yeah, it's a nice book. The rest of the books that are hanging the sixes are at -115, 116, 118, not Circa, -110 for the Nittany Lions at -6. Full game for Maxwell Smart. And then we head to Max's last game on his card, 9 p.m. Eastern, UConn Huskies. 10-6, 7-6 in the Big East at the Georgetown Hoyas, 7-10, 5-7 in the Big East. We're at McDonough Arena in Washington, D.C. Connecticut, 4-point favorites opened, 4-point favorites across the board. Some of the books have added juice to that -115 juice, but it hasn't switched. This total hasn't switched either, sitting at 138. Huskies had their 2-game winning streak snapped with a 68-60 loss at Villanova as 7.5-point favorites. They only turned the ball over 10 times, but struggled with their shot. 36.4% from the field, 25.9% from three. Bouknight scored 21, but RJ Cole was the only other player to score in double digits. It was just Bouknight's second game back from injuries, averaging 20.1 points per game. UConn hits 42.9% from the field, 34.7% from three, and 71.5% from the stripe. Georgetown's won 2 straight, coming off an 81-75 win over Seton Hall at home on Saturday as 4.5-point home dogs. They shot 50% from the field and 62.5% from three. Hard to imagine them being able to recreate those numbers. Jamarco Pickett had a season-high 20 points. He's averaging 12.7 on the season. They're led by Javon Blair, who averages 16.2 points per game. They hit 42.9% from the field, 36.8% from three, and 74.8% from the line. But they're very sloppy with the ball. They average 16.1 turnovers a game, and UConn can get after them defensively. Max, UConn 4-point road favorites. Take it away.
Jim, I don't even know why you need to ask me what I'm doing on this game. Line shot for me, my best UConn Husky line, because you know what? UConn's back, baby. We got Book. We got Sunogo. We got RJ. And we're going to eat cupcakes all over Georgetown's goddamn kitchen. We're going to eat their food. We're coming into their house. We're going to take a dump in their bathroom and not flush. Okay? I'm telling you this. With Bouknight back, James just creates an element of confidence for everybody else. It's like when your pack leader comes back and he has that beautiful carcass, that gazelle. I don't even know, maybe that freaking water buffalo, and it's like time to eat. And that's what the Huskies are going to do. They're going to eat on Georgetown's goddamn plate. Listen, I got a lot of love for Javon Blair. I got a lot of love for ballers from the 6. It is a goddamn hoops factory up here in Canada, and Division 1 understands that. So does Georgetown. But this is UConn, baby. We're on a mission. We want to make the tournament. We want to impress the Big East with what we can do on the court, what we can do with recruiting. And our star, he's going to the NBA next year, so it's his time to shine. He's coming off the bench right now, which is perfectly fine. I like how Adama Sanogo and Andre Jackson are getting some minutes late in the conference season. We got to have that depth. We got to have those 2 units that we can run out there. And I think that as long as you're getting solid production from Jalen Gaffney and Tyler Pauley off the bench, everything else is going to fall into play. This is a game where Connecticut has to slow the tempo down. They have to grind out possessions in the half court and make Georgetown work that clock to get their shot attempts. You're not going to have a disadvantage when it comes to size with Wahab. Definitely a guy that's capable of being a problem inside for you, but I do think that he is susceptible to foul trouble at times. I think that if Sanogo goes down with foul trouble, it's just a perfect opportunity for Josh Carlton to be able to get some of his minutes back. I think that that's a good motivation aspect for him. But with Sanogo, you're not really expecting a ton of offense. You're expecting him to make some putbacks if he gets some offensive rebounds, to be good on the defensive end. That's where you need him. I think that UConn is going to frustrate me at times with their scoring. They may fall behind, but as we've seen on the road, this is a team that wins, cashes tickets, and can come from behind. I don't even know what to sell you more on it, you know? It's UConn or die. So give me UConn or kill me.
Jesus. Well, we will give you UConn -4 at -110 at FanDuel. Couple books left at 4s. Bet365 also at 4. The rest have moved to 4.5s. UConn Huskies to finish off Maxwell Smart's card. Max, that puts a bow on your action. You were excellent in the 2 weeks that I was gone. 42 and 31 plus 7.97 units. You've had an excellent season. Let's review your action for this Tuesday, February 23rd card. You are on the Pacific Tigers at -3.5 at -110. You're on the Buffalo Bulls -12.5 at -105 and the over 142.5 at -110. You're on the St. Louis Billikens -2.5 at -115. You are on the Illinois Fighting Illini. First half -4 is your max. We're going to see what we can get you in the morning. And you're on the other side for the full game. Michigan State Spartans +6.5 -105. Then you are on the Campbell Fighting Camels -3.5 at -110. Then you are going to be on Prairie View first half. You have a max of -10 in that spot. At 8 p.m., you have the Penn State Nittany Lions. I had that an asterisk beside that spot. I talked about how you picked a few of these games, a few of these teams that were in a bounce back spot, and that seems like a really nice one. I'm going to tell you there. And then you close up shop with UConn Huskies -4 at -110 at Georgetown. Is that right?
Yep, that sounds perfectly correct.
Beautiful. Max sitting at 55.3% on the season. That's just a wonderful, wonderful number, Max. 203 wins, 164 losses. You're up 24.09 units. Your ROI is +6.56%. Professional gamblers want 2.5 to 3% ROI, and you're sitting at 6.56%. Average line -109, Max. It's been a pleasure being back in action with you, my friend. Do you have any last words for the great cappers watching us right now on odds.com?
Yeah, obviously, this is the right place to be, guys. Odds.com for your college basketball coverage amongst other sports. And listen, stick with me. I'll get you on the right track. And you don't have to worry about no bullshit with me. I come correct. I have a professional record keeper in Jimmy the Bag. And you know what? Listen, I never said I'm the best capper. I'm the best supporter of local strippers and devouring chicken tenders and honey. If I can be profitable for you in college basketball, that is just the freaking cookie crumbling. So let's get some winners. Let's have a good day. Let's not slurp any cock soup. And let's serve the bookies their favorite freaking appetizer.